ain't nothing changed. Blood on your name, look at the stains. On your knees and pray, heard the preacher say. Undermine me with divided lines. Dug up your pride, anything you feel. Oh my dear, we're in Babylon. We're in Babylon. Oh Lord, help us all. Fighting for my soul. Oh, let 'em go. Won't you let 'em go? Let 'em go. Oh, let 'em go. In Babylon, loose them chains. We wanna be free. Fire all inside of me. Here in Babylon, in hell, hope heaven's waiting for me. Waiting for me.
Welcome back to the show. I watched a couple more episodes of The Deuce last night. And I think yesterday I said that it was on. And you're listening to The Doug Stewart Show. Welcome back. I think yesterday, the Ryan Stewart Show coming up at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, about 45 minutes, so stay tuned for that. I think yesterday I had mentioned that I thought that the show was on Netflix, and it's actually not on Netflix. It's on HBO, which makes more sense because half of the damn cast are former characters and actors from The Wire. But I watched a couple of episodes last night, and another guy, the attorney for the attorney for Avon and Stringer and them from The Wire, the white guy, bald head, kind of short dude or whatever. He's also in this series as well called The Deuce. Pretty good, pretty interesting. It isn't, it didn't captivating me like it did, like The Wire did. It's a pretty damn good show, man. So check it out if you haven't seen it. It's called The Deuce on HBO. About hookers, hoes. About hookers and hoes, man. Pretty much is what it's all about in the 70s. Hey, Alabama's Nick Saban, who will make more than $11 million this season, tops USA Today's sports college football coaching salary database released on Wednesday. In his first year at Alabama, Saban's salary was $3.5 million. Wow. He was behind, at that time, Oklahoma Sooners coach Bob Stoops. That salary would be $4.1 million today, adjusted for inflation, which would land him about 20th among coaches. Rounding out the top five in salaries this season are Clemson's head coach Dabo Swinney. Dabo making $8.5 million. Claude, have mercy. But you know what? Man, these guys deserve every bit of it. If you bring a winning program and everything that comes with winning to these programs, I totally get it. Now, the other part of that is these players need a taste as well. They need a big-ass taste. But to say that, Dabo and Nick Saban don't deserve every penny that they get is crazy. Because I remember when Alabama was down for a couple of years because of suspensions or whatever. You remember they had Mike Price and they had Don Shula's little boy. And Alabama was struggling for a couple of years. And really, in the state of Alabama, that's all they got is football and the Alabama Crimson Tide. And, man, I can only imagine how much it's meant as far as enrollment to Alabama, school pride, apparel sales in the bookstore, with Alabama winning football games. Everything in the state of Alabama revolves around football, and in particular, Alabama. And same thing with Clemson, man. In the state of South Carolina, you can't even imagine how big of fans that these people are for the Clemson Tigers. And so to be down for as long as they have, and then Dabo comes in and wins a national championship, like they're pretty much more important than, city officials, state elected government officials, or whatever. You the head coach at Clemson or Alabama right now? And the sad part about it is, and I'm going to get back to the rest of the story, The sad part about it is I had this guy come and do some work in my house a couple of weeks ago, and he says he's an Alabama fan. And we started talking, and he was like, he's an Alabama fan, grew up in Alabama, but he loves Dabo and what he's doing. He says the reason why he loves Dabo is because Dabo will be the new head coach of Alabama when Saban retires. And I believe that's going to be the case as well. Dabo's making $8.5 million right now. Can you imagine how much those people at Alabama is going to pay Dabo to leave Clemson and come home to Alabama? They don't want to go back to the Mike Price years. They don't want to go back. And did Mike Price even coach? I don't even think Mike Price actually even coached. I think he got, lost a job behind that whole scandal. But the Mike Price era and I can't even remember the Shula kids. Was it Mike Shula? That was coach of Alabama, and they were struggling, and they were under all these NCAA restrictions, and it was just bad. And I can imagine that the people behind the Alabama program, the boosters and whatnot, they don't want to go back to them days. and it comes across, it kind of feels like if they were to get Dabo after Saban retires, that they probably won't skip a beat. Like Dabo is recruiting right now at that level. The talent level at Clemson over the last couple of years is equal to, or maybe in a lot of cases have even surpassed what they're doing in Alabama. So yeah, if they're paying Nick Saban $11 million a year, and Nick Saban says, I want to retire this coming year, imagine how much they're going to throw out at Dabo Swinney to get him to leave Clemson. He does have a provision in his contract that he can leave. I believe the provision is he can leave and not face penalty and have to give back money. He can leave and go to Alabama without penalty at all. Like anywhere else, I think he'd have to give back money or something like that, except for Alabama. So the writing's on the wall, man. And if they're paying Saban $11 million right now, so that they won't skip a beat, I'd guess they'd pay Dabo $15 million a year to go home where he played at. I think he'd do it. I think he'd do it. He got a good thing that he's built up there in Clemson, but I mean, home is home. Michigan Wolverine coach Jim Harbaugh, who was underwhelmed as head coach of the Wolverines, is making $7 million a year. Urban Meyer is making $6.4 million a year, and Arizona Wildcat head coach Rich Rodriguez, who many of you probably don't know. Rich Rodriguez, one-time coach at West Virginia. Rich Rodriguez, speaking of Clemson, was the offensive coordinator at Clemson for many years. Woody Dancer, when Woody Dancer was the quarterback. And so they brought Rich Rodriguez in there to Arizona to take them to that next level, paying him $5.6 million a year, and he ain't really doing shit. And that's in Arizona. That's in the desert. That's not in the SEC. And they paying him $5.6 million a year. That says a lot about how much people care about college football, man. And you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. That says a whole hell of a lot about how much people care about college football. Especially down here, it's crazy. They just need to find a way to pay these players, man. I'm not mad at these guys for getting their money, these coaches, man, but it's just a travesty, and it's a shame, and it's a sham that these players don't get no money, man. It's crazy. 404-822-5467. 404-822-5467 is the number to the show. From LD, he says that fraud Harbaugh makes $9 million a year and ain't won the Big Ten since he's been there. Going into his fourth year, actually no chips period and 1-5 against his conference rivals. Yeah, and I never thought in a million years that Jim Harbaugh wouldn't have already won the Big Ten and already competed for a national championship. You couldn't have told me that in a million years. I didn't think, if I didn't believe that Harbaugh wouldn't have already had Michigan clearly in the conversation for the Final Four, for the playoffs, and competing for a national championship. He's underwhelmed. Andre Elam, Bama got Avery Johnson coaching basketball, and he got a stud in Colin Sexton. He will be one and done, top 5 pick in the NBA draft. From Fail Pay, those Saban shoes are going to be hard to fill when he leaves. Remembering how many losing seasons there were after Bear Bryant. That's what I talked about. But here's the thing about it. Just like I said, maybe you posted that before I made the comment about Dabo recruiting at just as high or or better than Alabama over the last couple of years. You look at Clemson's defense. Clemson defense looks like Alabama's defense over the last couple of years. Them boys they got on that front line, man, are just absolute men amongst boys. And so I'm telling you, the talent level at Clemson is just as good or better than it is at Alabama. They beat them last year in the national championship. They had them on the ropes the year before in the national championship. And that's all Dabo does is just recruit. You look at the backup quarterback. You look at Kelly Bryant, the quarterback for Alabama right now. Like for Clemson right now. He started 95% of the other programs in the country. Like that's an Alabama-type player, and that Kelly Bryant kid. And once again, the defense is just it's a bunch of beasts. From Angry Black Man, you should be mad at the coaches since none of them are advocating the players get paid anything. That's not true. Nick Saban has already lightweight advocated for the players getting paid. Go and read up on it. From Mr. Harper, VP of Ninjaville, Andre E. Accurate, Colin Sexton is a problem. Saw him play a couple of times around here last year. From Tiffany Sports and Heel Sluggo, laugh out loud, I'm going to do it before you know who show up. Before who shows up. What's going on in the chat room? A love connection. Sounds like a coded message to me. From 334 Bama Boy, Bill Curry had winning seasons after Bear Bryant. He just didn't beat Auburn, so he had to go. Right, that's the mindset. 334 Bama Boy being from Alabama, they expect to win national championships every year. And I think the one person that could guarantee them winning national championships probably, or being in the running for national championships, Urban Meyer probably could too. But Urban Meyer, he's got his dream job. He's from the state of Ohio. He grew up being a Buckeye fan. That's his dream job. Same thing for Dabo. There's no other coach in America that I can think of right now that would go to Alabama and can recruit the way that Saban is recruited. I mentioned it yesterday how a lot of these coaches, they just head coaches. And they're guys that motivate their players. Nick Saban doesn't wear a headset. Most of the time he doesn't wear a headset. He handles his business throughout the week. Dabo could come in there and they wouldn't skip a beat, man. They wouldn't skip a beat. Sad to say. And I hate it for Clemson fans, man. And I'm not a Clemson fan. I'm more so, if I had to choose, I've said this before, I'm a Carolina fan more than a Clemson fan. But I hate it for Clemson fans, man. Y'all were down for so long. Now you got things cooking, and at some point here, very soon, Saban is old. You're going to lose Dabo. I hope you don't. I hope I'm wrong about all of this shit I've been saying the last 10 minutes. I hope I'm wrong. But I think the writing's on the wall. Back in 3 minutes.
This is Key C from the
Kicking It With Key C show.
on the newly rebranded Two Line Students Radio Network. We will continue to bring you the hottest, most interesting guests and commentary in the areas of social, politics, culture, music, and more. Continue to tune in.
X gon' give it to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, hear me and hear me good. If you like sports, then you like the Wait a Minute Show. If you like comedy, then you like the Wait a Minute Show. If you like a different opinion coming from a different angle, then you like the Wait a Minute Show.
So join me Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time
With your host, Jelani, JB Bodie. And of course, my man Lopan.
on the Two Live Stews Radio Network.
Ain't that right, Lopan?
Know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Faro, Jaro.
Keep that shit 100 Ben Frank. You know what I'm saying? Want you shotgun, ride with me. You know what I'm saying? Walk around with